Here's something most employees don't realize. Your boss knows things about the future of your job months before you do. They might know your project is getting cut. They might know a reorganization is coming. They might know layoffs are being discussed. And every day, they still have to walk into meetings, look everyone in the eye, and act completely normal. No one talks about that part of leadership, the emotional labor of leadership. And today we're going to. Hi, I'm Marlo Lyons. Welcome to Work Unscripted, where we talk about things people actually experience at work, but rarely say out loud. And we do it without fluff, without long lectures, just focused insight, curiosity, and real talk you can digest on your way to pick up the kids or in between meetings. Let's get unscripted. When people think about leadership, they imagine strategy, right? Budgets, decision-making, power. But one of the biggest parts of leadership is something that almost never shows up in job descriptions: emotional labor. The emotional labor of leadership is the invisible work leaders need to do to manage pressure, relationships, expectations, and information, often while protecting their team. It's the constant balancing act between your boss, your team, stakeholders, organizational politics, and information you sometimes can't share. And most of the work is completely invisible. One of the hardest parts of leadership is living in the middle between different parts of the organization. Your team wants things like realistic timelines, more resources, clear direction, protection from chaos. Your boss wants faster results, strategic alignment, efficiency, progress now. And those things don't always align. So leaders are constantly translating upward, downward, sideways, trying to advocate for their team without appearing resistant to leadership, trying to deliver for leadership without burning out their team. It's not just operational work, it's emotional navigation. The leaders who do it well do it unemotionally. But when that leader snaps back, makes a snide comment, acts out of their normal character, now you know why. Something is happening. You're just not privy to it. For example, leaders often know things long before their teams do, sometimes months in advance. Information like reorganizations, budget cuts, strategic shifts, leadership changes, layoffs, but they can't say anything yet. So they sit in meetings with people making long-term plans they know might change. They listen to speculation and rumors. They answer questions without revealing the full story, and they carry that information quietly until it becomes public. That emotional restraint is something many leaders never expected when they took the role. And they also didn't expect the weight of every stakeholder on their shoulders, meaning everyone suddenly has opinions about your work and your team's work. Other departments, peers, senior leadership, cross-functional teams. Suddenly, you're navigating a web of expectations like, we need this done faster. Why wasn't my team included? This isn't aligned with our priorities. Can your team take this on? And many of those requests conflict with each other. So leadership becomes less about authority and much more about prioritization through diplomacy, influence, and negotiation. A lot of leadership is simply managing competing expectations without creating unnecessary friction. As I like to say, saying no by saying yes. Being enthusiastic about someone's brilliant idea, but then influencing them to understand it will never fit in the roadmap. That's when you have a great leader who is doing what may seem invisible to most team members, but it's protecting them. Filtering noise, pushing back on unrealistic expectations, prioritizing and absorbing pressure so it doesn't cascade downward. Sometimes they're saying no to things behind the scenes so their team can stay focused. Sometimes they're negotiating timelines. Sometimes they're managing conflicts so the team doesn't have to. And when leaders do this well, their teams often never realize it happened, which is exactly the goal. So if you're thinking about becoming a leader because you think it means more control, more authority, more influence, don't forget, it also comes with more responsibility. Responsibility for your team's workload, their morale, their development, their frustrations, sometimes even their job security. You're no longer just responsible for your own stress. You're responsible for the emotional climate of the team. That's a very different job than most people expect. So here's what I'll say to team members. The next time you're frustrated with your boss, it might be worth remembering there is always a lot happening behind the curtain that you can't see and they can't tell you about. Pressure from above, competing priorities, decisions being negotiated, information being held, and emotional labor happening quietly in the background. That doesn't mean every leader handles it well. Some absolutely don't. But leadership itself, it's far more complicated than it looks from the outside. And to all the leaders out there, if you're someone thinking about stepping into leadership, this is the part of the job that no one talks about, the unseen work, the emotional labor, the part of leadership that rarely shows up in job descriptions, but shapes the experience every single day. With that, I'll leave you with giving someone a little grace goes a long way. Thanks for listening to Work Unscripted. Thank you for joining me for this mini moment of insight. If today's episode helped you see your world a little differently, pass it along. And I'm always appreciative of your ratings and your review. Until next time, keep asking better questions and keep it unscripted. The journey is yours. Work Unscripted is produced and edited in partnership with the team at Palm Tree Podco and 21 Digby. The content for this week's episode was created by me, Marlo Lyons.